Well, here we are, another episode of Three Questions with, this time with Simon Creer, Director of Communications at the Royal Town and Planning Institute. Thanks for being with us, Simon.
No problem.
Good stuff. So, look, we're going to go straight into it. Three questions. The first one being that dreaded question that all comms people get at parties. Wait, what do you actually do?
So I thought we were going to start with an easier question, James, because I've been a director now for like 9 years, I think, and I still don't think I've satisfactorily landed on an answer. But doing this has made me realize that I probably should. And I think thinking on this, like realistically, my job and obviously, that of my team, because a lot of my job is setting up teams, is to act kind of as the lens for an organization. Like we are the membrane through which everything passes. We kind of take the knowledge, the expertise, and we filter it and we sieve it so that it can be properly projected out into the world and find an audience.
Yeah.
I forget where I picked it up, but this idea that effective communication is always delivered in the language of the receiver. And that really means, boiled down, core responsibility of people doing this gig is to ask the stupid questions.
Yeah.
Because when you ask the stupid questions, you get the intelligent answers and you can turn that into what you tell the world.
And I love that point about speaking in the language of the receiver, because I think businesses are very, very likely, if they haven't got that lens, to start navel gazing and start talking in the language of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, like we all operate in tribes, right? So organization, businesses forget what other people don't know. And there's a big part of the comms job in reminding people where to start with that conversation.
Absolutely. As you alluded to, you've been at this level for around 9 years now. Looking back, is there a singular piece of career advice you would have offered your more junior self to help you along the way?
I think it comes back to that being the person in the room that gets to ask the questions, or at least the person in the room that has to be sort of reminding people that there's a world out there that you need to talk to. And so I think the one key bit of advice I'd always give anyone sort of coming into this business or thinking about it is stay curious. Like the key thing you can do is asking questions, being curious. Like part of the gig is having that ability to interrogate what is happening and then translate it into something accessible. Like you're going to be dealing with absolute experts, absolute top of the field, and you have to be curious about what they're doing. And what I found off the back of that is I know an awful lot about bridge design. I know an awful lot about town planning layouts, all that sort of stuff, master plans. It's all residual knowledge. If
Yeah.
you're not curious, you'll never pick that up. And if you're not curious, you'll never really get the sense of what it is you need to then project out into the world. And I mean, was I always curious? Did I always get where I needed to be? Probably not. I think about some of the opportunities that might have passed me by because they came up and I thought, well, maybe I'm not really interested in that. So,
Yeah.
so that curiosity can also take you places in this kind of career.
Expected places, yeah. When there's bravery in that curiosity, because I think actually that's one of the biggest challenges for anyone starting out their career is being brave enough to ask questions you don't know the answer to, because it's overcoming that fear of looking stupid.
Fortunately, I look really stupid all the time. I had a built-in defense mechanism for that.
Uh,
But I think it does. You make a good point, which is, you look at some of the sort of like historic crisis communication system
yeah,
situations of the past. Like when you read between the lines and you really, get to the guts of it, often it is because someone has not asked the right question.
yeah.
Or
Uh,
so I think, yeah, you're right. Bravery, curiosity, um, are sort of linchpins for this role.
Great. So one final question then. If you weren't working in the world of corporate affairs and the world of communications, what would you be doing?
I mean, James, you've probably gathered a little bit from our chats that I have had a varied career path to get here. So do I say, oh, I'd probably still be a crime correspondent in Ireland, or do I say I'd probably still be teaching English in Japan?
Uh,
Or is it that failed PhD bid to do the study of the philosophy of postmodern literature? I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult to say where I'd be. So
or
I
is it
think,
working a vineyard in France or
well,
Italy?
this well, actually, this is how I chose to look at that. Is probably like rather than what would I be doing if I wasn't doing this? It's like where is my happy place when things get quite like intense and I'm like I just need to take a break. And that is, of course, the local pub. So I think were I not sort of this bravely curious, funny looking guy who's working in comms, I would really probably be running a pub in the country somewhere, mainly because it would give me access to cheap booze. But beyond that, I think really it comes down to the same thing. When I have worked in bars, I used to manage a pub in central Glasgow for a little while. The one thing you get to do is hang out with interesting people that tell you
Yeah.
interesting stories. And then the next night you're with another group of people and you're there going, you'll never guess what so and so is telling me, which sounds like gossip, but actually it's comms.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. That's really appreciated, Simon.
No problem, James. My pleasure.